Hey guys, Dark Gray back again with another deck profile. With everything going on in the world currently, access to new cards and products has been limited, not to mention the budget constraints. Because of that, I've decided to revisit a deck profile that I made for a friend a while back when he mentioned he was interested in getting back into the game. The deck I chose for him at the time was Salamangreat, because on release it was an amazing tier 1 deck that you could practically make out of 3 structure decks. I will say, with recent ban lists and shifting metas, some of the budget options for the deck have taken a hit, yet it still yields amazing results. The deck I will be showing you today is the most extreme budget deck list I could make for Salamangreats using only $50. It is comprised of 3 structure decks and a few other select cards that I view are mandatory for the deck to function without exceeding the $20 limit after buying 3 structure decks. Starting off, I want to go over some of the specific cards that we had to pick up, because beyond these cards, everything else included in this deck profile will be found in the Soulburner Structure Deck. The most important card to pick up will be 3 Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf. Now, this is the most obvious mandatory inclusion because the entire deck will revolve around the card advantage that this monster gives you. Now, it has seen a reprint and is much cheaper than the $10 rare that it was on release, but has slowly climbed over time to about $3 a piece, totaling almost $10 for the playset. Revisiting this deck profile, I found creeping card prices to be the largest issue, as original budget options for the deck now in total would cause us to exceed our $20 additional limit. Next is the other mandatory inclusion for the deck, in my opinion, with 3 Flame Buffalo. Now, I've always enjoyed the card advantage that Flame Buffalo gives you over the search from Lady Debug, so with Lady Debug sitting around $7 and Flame Buffalo sitting about $1, it was an easy decision to pick this as our starter card. For additional inclusions that are found in Archetype, we will be playing 3 Fusion of Fire and the single Salamangreat Violet Chimera. Now, with both these cards sitting under $1, Fusion of Fire gives you great removal for going second and clearing opponents' link monsters, while an amazing boss monster in Violet Chimera additionally helps you remove threats and close out games. With such a limited budget, these are amazing in-archetype options for the deck that help take care of 2 of its biggest issues in both going second and applying damage. Additionally, we only need to play the 1 Salamangreat Violet Chimera because we can recycle it, and I found in testing often the effect using itself as material is just unnecessary. Lastly, we play a single Abyss Dweller because this deck has the ability to utilize rank 4 Xyz monsters, which I have often found myself wanting to end my combos with. Now we'll go ahead and go through the entire main deck with those additional cards included. So we'll start off with the 3 Flame Buffalo, just as an amazing starter card to discard our Salamangreat cards and draw into any additional hand traps or trap cards that we may be playing. We play the 1 sadly limited Salamangreat Gazelle. On initial release of the structure deck, having this card at 3 was a godsend and helped you build a competitive deck straight out of the structure deck. Then we play 3 Salamangreat Foxy as an additional normal summon to help us dig for cards, and it has an amazing graveyard effect for us to pop a face-up spell or trap card when necessary. Then 3 Salamangreat Spinny, along with 3 Salamangreat Jack Jaguar. Now, the reason we play 3 of each of these is because they are both 1-card Salamangreat Sunlight Wolves, which we often want to end our combos with and add additional recursion to the deck. Then we have 3 Salamangreat Fowl, because it's just a free special summon. Additionally, its effect to turn off set, spell, and trap cards can be great for control matchups. And the 1 Salamangreat Falco, which I used to hate running back in the Raw Stalio days, but I found its ability to help you bounce back Gazelle to hand and keep abusing it to just be amazing now that we've had to change our game plan a bit. Finally, for Salamangreat monsters, we play 1 Salamangreat Mirror and 1 Salamangreat Mole. Now, while some of the competitive builds don't necessarily play these cards, both are easy special summons, with Mirror being able to special summon itself off being added to hand from a card effect, or being able to discard a Salamangreat card to summon itself. And then Mole can special summon itself during the main phase you link summon a monster. Mole is also a Pot of Avarice in the graveyard, although it does not come up very often. Both of these cards are amazing free special summons for the most part, with their own upsides depending on which situation you find yourself in. For non-Salamangreat cards, we have the obligatory 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. The common reprint of this card in the structure deck was amazing and much needed for budget players everywhere. Even now, this card makes the cost of buying an entire structure deck entirely worth it and will only increase over time if not given another reprint. Then lastly for monsters, we main 2 Dogoran, the Mad Flame Kaiju. This is some great removal for a coin second, and additionally, since it is fire attribute, we can go ahead and keep recycling these cards with Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf to get rid of any problematic monsters our opponents may have. Onto the spells and traps that we play, we have the limited Salamangreat Circle. Again, like Gazelle, this hit hurts for the budget players out there, but Konami wants to sell products, so hopefully with the reprinting of Sign-Up Mining making it cheaper for the budget players out there, it's something you can go ahead and save towards. Then the 1 Salamangreat Sanctuary to search off of Balinks. Then we play 3 Will of the Salamangreat, because this is a great free special summon for us, a recovery option, say even with a Nibiru, or it acts as a soul charge for our Salamangreat monsters, so it's just a busted card that helps us keep extending. And then the 3 Fusion of Fire from earlier, which we can easily send with Gazelle to the graveyard and add back with Sunlight Wolf as a way to clear any problematic monsters or push for game. Finally for spells, we play 2 Link Bound. Now, this card has amazing synergy with the structure deck that it comes in, as you can target 1 Link monster you control or in your graveyard, shuffle it back into the extra deck, then you can draw cards equal to the Link rating of that Link monster you returned, and then return cards from your hand to the bottom of the deck equal to the number of cards that you drew. This is a great card for recycling some of our Link monsters, which our strategy already loves to do, and for digging for those hand traps, or digging for any additional cards that we may want to see in our hand. On to traps, we play 2 Salamangreat Rage, because it's an amazing card for us, being able to pop cards on our opponent's field equal to the Link rating, or if worse comes to worse, just being able to send a Salamangreat from our hand or face up to the field to be able to pop a card. And then the 2 Salamangreat Roar, just for that searchable negate. We want to run both of these trap cards at 2 because we want to be able to see them, but we don't necessarily want to see doubles of them, and they're just overall relatively common ratios that you may see. For the last card in the main deck, we have something a little bit different with 2 Salamangreat Gift. Now, this is an amazing budget card for us, as it can help just build pure card advantage for us, with the effect to either discard a Salamangreat monster from our hand to be able to send one from our deck to the graveyard, or if you have a Link monster on the field that was Link summoned with a monster of the same name, you can discard a card to be able to draw 2 cards. Just another way for us to be able to dig into our deck, draw cards, and be able to send the Salamangreat monsters that we want to the graveyard. Overall, an amazing card, and one of the best aspects of Salamangreats, as you're really able to keep pushing with the setup that you have to be able to win games. Moving on to the extra deck, we have our 3 Salamangreat Balinks, just to be able to search out our Salamangreat Sanctuary, and for the protection that it offers in the graveyard. Then the 3 Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf from earlier, just our entire engine working through this card. Then the 3 Salamangreat Heat Leo, since it's one of the boss monsters that comes in the structure deck for us, with the amazing ability to shuffle back cards in the spell and trap card zones, and modify attack to adjust that for Salamangreat Violet Chimera, or just push for game by itself. For additional Link monsters found in the structure deck, we play 3 Doolittle Chimera. This just buffs all of our fire attribute cards, and if it's destroyed by battle or a card effect, we can add 1 fire monster from our graveyard back to our hand, so if it's on field and they decide to do anything to it, it does recur a little bit of card advantage and recycle some of our cards. Then finally for Link monsters, we have 1 Flame Administrator, since it gives a slightly higher boost for Link monsters being at 800 compared to the 500 boost of Doolittle Chimera. So if you find yourself with a lot of the Link monsters on board, it can just help push for a little bit more damage. The final boss monster for the deck with Salamangreat Violet Chimera, again we can recycle this card, and it just helps get over problematic monsters and push for game for us. And the final Abyss Dweller, just since so many decks work off of the graveyard, and we often end with 2 level 4 monsters anyways, so it's just the best option to go into one of these rank 4s instead of just wasting it on a Doolittle Chimera or a Flame Administrator. Now, as a sweet surprise, this structure deck actually has so many generically good cards that I was able to fashion a side deck with what was included inside. To start off, we have 3 True King Ignimazad, the Vanisher. This is just an amazing card for us going second if we know that our opponent's going to have problematic monsters that we want to remove. I chose not to main deck it since it does take 2 fire monsters in our hand, which we don't always want to destroy, but if we know the matchup, it's just too good not to include in the side deck. Additionally, we play the third Dogoran, the Mad Flame Kaiju, for those instances when we have a boss monster that we need to get over. Then we play 2 Salamangreat Peril for time, since its effect lets us summon it when our opponent declares an attack, and we contribute it to gain 2,000 life points. Then we have Transmigration Prophecy, which its effect lets us target 2 cards in the graveyard and shuffle those targets back in the deck. Same thing with Abyss Dweller. This is just an amazing card that acts as a pseudo DD Crow, or Called by the Grave for us, as we're able to get rid of any cards that our opponent may want set up in their graveyard, which many meta decks really want to be able to do. Then for those OTK matchups, we do side the 3 Threatening Roar, because as mentioned earlier, if Salamangreats are able to set up and get rolling, it's really hard for them to lose, so this just allows us to survive for that additional turn, set up our board, and really get our engine going. Then, lastly, we play 3 Gozen Match for the matchups where it may be applicable. Since we play only fire attribute monsters, this can just be an amazing way to stun out certain opponents depending on the matchup. Now, I know this deck profile is being made well over a year after the release of the Soulburner Structure Deck, yet it is still currently one of the best decks ever since the release of Sunlight Wolf, plus in my opinion by far the best budget option for a top tier competitive deck. While this extremely budget version of the deck uses only 3 structure decks plus some spare parts, the best thing is you can easily start building upon this deck with so many options being extremely cheap. The first option for upgrades that I could give for anybody interested in this specific deck profile is if you have access to a playset of Salamangreat Sunlight Wolves, that opens up that extra $20 budget within the $50, and I would have to recommend that you pick 2 of the structure deck power code link, as it's where Flame Buffalo was originally printed and is where you can find the original printing of Lady Debug. On top of that, if you bought 2 of that structure deck, you would be able to have 2 Flame Buffalo, 2 Lady Debug, 2 Effect Veiler. It even comes with Skullmeister as an inclusion for hand traps, a Sea Archiver as great recursion, and even Forbidden Chalice. So these are all amazing additional cards that you could pick up if you already have access to a playset of Salamangreat Sunlight Wolves and have the budget to go out and find that structure deck for you. Otherwise, additional upgrades would just be any of the hand traps, honestly, DD Crows, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, Artifact Lancia, and specific link monsters such as Nightmare Phoenix. Hita the Fire Charmer is amazing, and the Update Jammer Transcode Talker package is simply amazing for being able to close out games in OTK without having to rely on being able to summon multiple link monsters with Salamangreat Heat Leo or on your Salamangreat Violet Chimera. With that being said, thanks again everyone for the support in the beginning of this channel. If you're at all interested in seeing me do a deck profile involving those 5 structure decks with the 3 Soulburner Structure Deck and 2 Power Code link, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below, or any other deck profiles that you may be interested in seeing. If you like these budget options, that's another thing that I'd love to know, as it's much easier for me to go ahead and make those for you guys considering the current circumstances. If you have any other comments or questions, go ahead and let me know. Otherwise, thanks again everyone for your support in the beginning of this channel, and I hope everybody is staying safe out there. Peace.